Hey, this is my Flux Capacitor. I built this because the Smuggler's Room on YouTube, they invited folks to build a Flux Capacitor that could go into any universe. Something more than would just be in like a Back to the Future car, but something that you could put in a Knight Rider car, and a robot, in Star Wars, wherever you might want to put one. So I built this to be portable, so that way I could stick it in my different robots and make it look like they're powered from a flux capacitor. But I also like the idea of this just being like a little nightlight or something that I can integrate with Halloween props too. So I'm looking forward to doing that maybe next year, finding something to do with maybe mad scientist stuff. If you watch The Smuggler's Room, they show you how to build a lot of stuff, and they reuse components that are found in their prop making. So I tried to stick with that the best I could. I did buy the case off of Amazon. It was about $12 because I really like this waterproof, watertight case. I like the look of it, and it was about the size that I wanted for my flux capacitor. The three kind of electrodes in the corners, I built those out of, let me take this out so you can see it a little bit better. I built those out of little, I think they're 1/4-inch bolts, and then I used heat shrink and yellow wire to create the look of the electrodes, and then the tops are actually button caps, wooden button caps that you can get as like replacements for furniture or your wooden fixtures. The light elements themselves, I built those out of something I already had, which were 5mm white LEDs. And technically this is the second flux capacitor I built, because the first one I managed to blow it up, literally. The batteries smoked, the LEDs fried, because I got overexcited building a flux capacitor, because I just thought it was so cool I wanted to participate in the challenge, and I wasn't very careful with my wiring the first time, and I shorted some things out, just being in a hurry, and I shouldn't have done that. So I blew out the LEDs the first time, so I had to rebuild those, and then redo some wiring, because I did not really pay attention to the fact that these LEDs, their maximum voltage is 3.6 volts. And originally I was trying to power them off of 6 volts, and somehow I just was lazy with the math and didn't figure that, well, 6 LEDs, somehow that just magically works out to be, 6 volts would be fine. And it was not. I needed to step down the voltage and the amperage going to them. The way I built the light filaments, though, I had some tubing laying around that worked out really well for these 5mm LEDs. This was some clear vinyl tubing that is rated as 1/4 inch by 0.70 inches in diameter, and then the length of this originally was like 20 feet or something. But this is the how I made the elements, because the 5mm LEDs happen to fit right into the tubing. And here's an example of how close-up example of how I made that. I just kind of cut it to length, stuck the LEDs in there, and then I covered the back of the tubing with black vinyl tape, so that way it forced the light up instead of out in every direction. And then everything's mounted to a perforated board that I painted black. If we look on the inside, we can see the backing of the perforated board, and then to in case I want to change things with the LEDs in the future, or wire up something differently, like maybe wire things into an Arduino or something to make the LEDs blink in a pattern. On my second attempt on building the flux capacitor, I decided to use servo extension cables, and I glued them in to make little sockets for the LED elements, and then I wired it all together, and they're powered off of 3 volts now. And then I just put some standoffs in there so that way everything just kind of flush mounts in there, and it gets a nice appearance when everything's mounted in there. And then the labels, I'm not sure if the camera will pick those up or not, but the little labels, I just printed those with an inkjet printer and put those in there. But this was a really fun project. I love this little my little flux capacitor. It's not screen accurate, but I love this little thing. And I love it that it's portable, and I can stick it into any different prop or scenario that I want to, and be like, there's my flux capacitor. I'm ready for time travel. I'll send my Terminator back. So, yep, that's my little project.